much of World War II, Britain's Royal Navy was mesmerized by a single German warship, the mighty battleship Tirpitz. Her 8 15-inch guns were powerful enough to sink any Allied warship. She spent most of the war lurking in fjords in northern Norway. From here, the Tirpitz threatened Allied convoys bound for Russia. These convoys carried munitions from the Western Allies through the Arctic Ocean to northern Soviet ports. This material was vital to sustaining Russia's war effort. The Royal Navy feared the Tirpitz would slip out and attack the Russian-bound convoys. This fear led to one of Britain's greatest blunders of the war. Mistakenly believing that the Tirpitz was heading for Convoy PQ17, the Admiralty ordered the convoy's escort to leave and allow it to make its own way to Russia. The result was that most of the merchant ships in the convoy fell victim to German air and submarine attacks. For the Germans, it was the war's greatest victory over an Allied convoy. For the Allies, it was a tragic waste of human life and war materials due to a grave blunder. In the weeks after the invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941, it seemed nothing could stop the Germans. Russia suffered one crushing defeat after another. Britain welcomed Russia in the fight against the Axis powers, but could offer Stalin no direct help. Even so, the two countries signed a mutual assistance pact in July 1941. Both pledged not to make a separate peace with Nazi Germany. But the Soviet Union needed more than a piece of paper to continue resisting the German onslaught. Churchill therefore sent a convoy carrying planes and rubber to the northern Soviet ports of Archangel and Murmansk. At the same time, the United States declared that the Soviet Union was now entitled to American munitions under its Lend-Lease program. 3 supply routes were set up. One was by air from Alaska to Siberia. Another was a land route from the Iraqi port of Basra through Iran. The most hazardous of the 3 routes, and the one that carried the most war material, was by sea, via the northern Soviet ports of Archangel and Murmansk. The summer route passed close to Greenland, but in winter, ice forced convoys to sail close to German-occupied Norway. The first of the regular Russian convoys sailed at the end of September 1941. It was designated PQ-1 and consisted of 10 merchant vessels that arrived at Archangel without loss. At the same time, Averell Harriman from the United States and Lord Beaverbrook from Britain flew to Moscow to discuss Soviet munitions needs. Churchill told Stalin he would send a convoy every 10 days. This proved impossible. The Arctic winter arrived, and conditions worsened for those on board the Russian convoys. The escorting warships suffered severely from the weather and often needed extensive repairs. The United States had not joined the war yet, so the British did not have enough vessels to provide immediate replacements. Convoys were delayed. By the end of 1941, only 7 convoys had been sent to Russia, but they all got through without loss. The Germans, however, had been alerted. They began to reinforce Norway with U-boats and destroyers. Then, in January 1942, the battleship Tirpitz was sent to Norway. She was followed by the German heavy cruisers von Scheer and Prinz Eugen. The latter was torpedoed en route. The British were soon aware of the presence of the Tirpitz. They also realized it presented a threat to the Russian convoys. Churchill declared the Tirpitz the most important naval vessel in the situation today. Attempts to destroy the battleship by air were unsuccessful. In March 1942, the Tirpitz launched her first attack on an Arctic convoy, PQ-12, which had been pinpointed by German reconnaissance aircraft. But bad weather kept her from zeroing in on the convoy.